Hi, I'm Lynn. Welcome back to my kitchen again, cooking again for the Cumberland Library. I am making spring risotto with asparagus and peas. It is spring, even though it does not feel like spring. I have a lovely spring cold, and it's cold out, so it is what it is. We can still make risotto, and we can still use spring ingredients, and this is a great dish for Easter, so if you want to check it out and maybe make it for Easter. A lot of people love risotto. It's rice, obviously, and it's very creamy and satisfying and hearty, so hope you give it a try. Let's get started. I'll tell you what you need and we'll get right into it. So for risotto, you use Arborio rice. I have never heard of anybody making it with any other kind of rice. Arborio rice is very starchy. It lets off its starch slowly as you add the liquid and becomes very creamy and delicious. And so using a different kind of rice probably wouldn't be risotto, but you need Arborio rice for that. You need some olive oil, and you need some Parmesan cheese. I've got mine pre-grated. You need butter. I'm putting asparagus and peas in mine, so I have my peas. I'm using frozen peas. I'm just letting them thaw. I've got about a cup. The recipe will be posted. And I've got some asparagus here that I just bought. And obviously didn't wash yet, so I'll do that real quick. Just going to use the tops of that. Sorry about that. Should have done that ahead of time. Just get that draining a little bit. And what else? Okay, so I'm using shallots. You can use onion. So it would be like one onion. I'm going to use a couple of shallots. Shallots have a little bit milder flavor. And I'm using some garlic. And you need chicken broth. And also most risotto recipes call for wine. I don't have any in the house, and I don't usually keep wine in the house, and so I'm not using wine. But you can just add a little extra chicken broth to make up for the wine that you're not using. It doesn't matter. It's another little flavor that adds to it, but it's still delicious without the wine. So the first thing we're going to do is get the vegetables sauteing, and then we'll put them aside. We'll get the rice going and put it all together. So stick with me, and you'll see it's very, very easy. I think a lot of people think risotto is difficult. It's not. What it is fussy in that you don't leave the stove. You stay here the whole time. But if you put vegetables in it, it's a vegetable, and it's your starch, or your, it's two of your side dishes if you put veggies in it. And then you can I bought a rotisserie chicken. I'm just going to serve it with some chicken, and you can serve it just like that as a vegetarian dish, and it's very, very delicious. So I'm just going to cut the tops and a little bit of the, I don't like the big woody asparagus for this. Sometimes the asparagus is really big and woody, and if it's like that and that's all you can get, then you might want to like peel it a little bit, shave it a little bit to because it can be very woody, and it takes longer to saute. Woody is the only word I can think of to use. But anyway, so that should be enough. So usually when I'm cutting, they tell you when you're cutting asparagus to take one and bend it, and wherever it breaks, that's where you should cut it. And that works most of the time, but not all the time. Anyway, I'm going to use that much. And if you were the kind of person who likes to make vegetable stock, you could save this and make vegetable stock with that and a bunch of other things. I am not that type of person, and I'm not saving it. Alright, so we're going to saute the asparagus first. So let's just get the heat going, get a little olive oil in there, and we'll just get that sauteing. And after that, we're going to be doing the shallots, so I'm going to get those going. And we'll be done before you know it. Again, not a difficult dish, just not even really that time consuming. It's just not a dish you can walk away from. You've got to stand there and babysit it, because it's fussy. But that's okay. And I don't make it that much, but I have made it before a few times, and it's always so good. It's very decadent, very creamy and satisfying. And you can get it in a lot of Italian restaurants. It's a northern Italian dish. I don't know a whole lot about the history or whatever, but I know it's from northern Italy. All right. So we'll just get these chopped up small real quick. I'm using two because this one's tiny and one is just not enough. Let's get the asparagus in here because oh yeah, we're hot. I don't know if I need all that. Kind of eyeball it. I'm putting peas in there too, so I think that'll be good. I cut that extra little bit of stem, but I'm not sure I need it. I'm just going to get that going. There's my towel. Put a little salt in there. Salting and flavoring every layer. Let's get this other shallot chopped up. Pretty fine. You don't want big chunks of onion in there. Or shallot. You may not even use all that. Toss this around a bit. Just want to get that tender for, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes, and then because it's going to cook again, and we're going to put it back in with the rice after. So, those shallots are strong. I already had leaky eyes from having a cold, but wow, that's actually a lot of shallot. I probably won't use all that. Anyway, better to have too much than not enough. Whoa. So in the meantime, what you can't see over here, you still can't see, is I've got, hello, chicken broth. I've got 6 cups of chicken broth. And when you add the liquid to this, you want it to be warm. So you want to keep that at a simmer. When I get that warming up now, that needs to stay at a simmer because you're going to add your liquid. Unlike rice, regular rice where you just put all your liquid in, you put the rice in, and then you cover it. With risotto, arborio rice, you add it a little at a time. You let it absorb, let it release its starches and get creamy, and then, excuse me, and then you add some more liquid, and then you keep going. And you use most of your liquid. It's 6 cups. It's going to make a lot, but leftovers are a good thing. Excuse me. Okay. So, let me get my cup out. I need 1.5 cups of rice. Not quite there yet. Warming up my liquid. Get my asparagus going. I'm going to get rid of this. And other than that, there's just chopping of a garlic clove. And see, there's not a lot of work involved here. And you can make risotto without vegetables in it. Put anything you want in it, really, I guess. Serve it with some shrimp over it. Alright, that's already looking pretty tender. So I'm going to get it out of the pan, put it on a plate. I'm going to use the same pan to cook the rice. I'll put that aside. I got about a cup, maybe a little more than a cup of peas, but I'll eyeball it when I put it in. And put a little more olive oil. And I'm going to get my shallots in there. Put the heat back up. Alright. And let me get my little right here. Put that in there. I think it can, a lot of rice. I think it can handle all that shallot. So I'm going to cut up 2 garlic cloves also, and you don't want to put your garlic in at the same time as your onion or shallot, because garlic can burn really quickly and get very bitter. You don't want that. Alright, I'm just going to cut up, I'm going to mince it pretty fine. You can use a rasp or a grater, whatever you call that thing, several zester, whatever you want to call that thing. That's really, you don't want to brown. Keep the heat kind of low. You don't want to brown them. And whatever I was saying, yes, you can use a rasp to do your garlic. I like to mince garlic by hand. And why dirty another utensil if you don't need to? Just keep chopping it up till it's fine. Chop, chop, chop. Keep going over it till it's the size you want. If you don't like garlic, leave it out. Got some skin in there. Get that out of there. I don't know why I enjoy doing this. I just do. Alright, I think that's fine enough. So we'll put that in as well. Like I said, leave it out if you don't like it. Alright. Just going to let that go for like a minute just to get that a little bit cooked, just so you can start to smell it. You can already smell it. Alright, so now what you're going to do, unlike other rice dishes or other types of rice, you toast this rice a little bit, very, very lightly, just to start it releasing its starches. This is this brand Pastine. It comes vacuum sealed, whatever, but I already cut it open so I wouldn't have to struggle on camera. So I'm going to do a cup and a half, which is going to be a lot. But you know what? Like I said, leftovers. I get it in there, and we'll get it just lightly toasting up. And, okay. Right. Stuff happens in the kitchen. Alright, so I'm going to turn this up a little. And just get this lightly toasting. I'm going to add a little more olive oil. The pan is a little dry. Just for a couple of minutes. It gets sort of starting to look a little translucent. Need a little more heat. And my broth is getting there. You don't want to boil it, you just want it simmering. And you definitely don't want to be adding cold liquid to a hot dish of rice. Okay. Now this is where, after this goes for 2, 3, 4 minutes, this is where you would deglaze the pan with wine. I'm just going to do a half a cup of chicken broth just to get everything melded together, and then we'll start adding in all our other stuff, which is the broth. The cheese goes last, always at the end. If you added the cheese too early, it would start sticking to the pan and getting all messy and gooey and whatnot. So I'm not trying to brown the rice. I'm just trying to get it to wake up and think about releasing its starches. So I'm going to grab a half a cup. This is starting to get a little too hot. I'm just going to grab a half a cup of liquid broth. This chicken broth I've got unsalted because I don't want, or low sodium, because I want to be able to control the salt myself. And we're going to just let that soak up for a minute or two. Now we can add back the asparagus. I'm not going to put the peas in quite yet. Those are, if you overcook those, they turn to nothing, mush. And so from here, all it really is is patience. So you can, I don't know if you can see, probably not, but try to make you see that it's already getting creamy. You can see, maybe you can't, hope you can, that it's releasing its starches and it's starting to get creamy, which is what you want. So I'm going to add one ladle at a time. And all you're going to do, this is the babysitting part, is just keep, stirring it around. You're not boiling it. It's a nice, not quite a simmer, not quite a boil, somewhere in between. And you just got to keep it moving around. I'm actually going to switch to a spoon. Find a good one. And you're going to see it start to get creamy and yummy. And I have weird hot spots on this stove, so I always have to spin my pan around. You're not going to add the next bit of liquid until this one's all absorbed. And you'll know when. You can tell when it's dry. You'll know it absorbs. It's amazing how fast it is. Oh, it just absorbs. Hopefully you can see what's happening here. And you got to be patient. Don't try to rush it. Because as it's releasing its starches, it's cooking. You don't want to be chewing on, raw rice. That is not pleasant. So we're going to add some more. And again, it's at a pretty good simmer here. Like I said, somewhere between a boil and a simmer, whatever that is. Medium. Not high, not low. If it's too low, it'll take forever. If it's too high, it'll be too quick, and it won't release all its starches. So patience, which is weird because I'm not usually a real patient person. So, but if you want it to taste good, you got to be patient. Moving it around. You can really see it starting to get nice and creamy. All right, so because this is going to be a lot of repetitive stuff, I'm going to pause. I'm going to keep adding, and then we'll come back in a minute or two, and we'll see what it looks like. All right, I have been stirring away while you were gone, and I have put almost all of it in. I've got just a little tiny bit left, maybe half a ladle, half a cup, but I don't want to overcook it. Because when it starts to get near like the last couple of ladles, I like to start tasting the rice for doneness. So because I don't want it to be super mushy. I also don't want it to be hard either, because that's unpleasant. And so I've just been stirring away, and what I also did was I added a good sized pat of butter, and I added the peas in, as you can see. And it's just about done. I tasted it. I adjusted the salt and pepper also. That's a good reason to taste it as you go. And it's just at that right point where it's not sticking to your teeth, it's not gummy, and it's not raw, hard, uncooked. So I'm going to turn this all the way off. And because I didn't use wine, which is an acid, I'm going to add a little bit of lemon juice just to brighten it up a little bit. I'm just going to squeeze some lemon juice in there, not too much. And then the final and the best part, in my opinion, is the cheese, the Parmesan cheese. I would put it on everything if you let me. It's yummy. Get a good one if you're going to make risotto. Get a scissors that don't cut. So I'm going to add probably about a half a cup. It's going to mix in nicely with that creamy sort of it's got like almost like a sauce, but it's going to soak that all up and be salty and yummy and cheesy and delicious. Hope you can see. I don't know if you can see creamy on the camera. I don't know. It's creamy. See it? Hopefully you can see it. I'm going to taste it. Hopefully I don't burn my mouth. Basically it's done. It is super, super, super creamy. Don't take a shot every time I say creamy because you'll be intoxicated. Just going to give myself a little because it's not dinner time yet. Hubby's not home yet, so I don't want to eat without him. It's very, very, very hot. That's so good. You can taste the shallots and the garlic. It needs more cheese. Of course it does. But I am only going to put a little more cheese, and I'm going to put a little on mine. This is never enough Parmesan cheese in my opinion, but it's super yummy, creamy, beautiful spring dish, even though it's still cold. But this is good comfort food too. It's so good. Alright, that is my spring asparagus and pea risotto. I hope you give it a shot. It wasn't difficult. You can see that. There wasn't a whole lot to the prep. If you don't like standing in one spot for a long time stirring, put on an audiobook or some good music and sit and enjoy while you're doing your stirring, and give it a shot. I think you'll like it. I am coming back with something in April. One of them is a cake for Easter. I don't remember what I committed to for the other one, but we'll post it and get it up there for you to check out. So go to Cumberland Public Library, Cumberland Public Library on YouTube and on Facebook, and look at our website and check out what we've got going on. We've got Spice Club, we've got book clubs, all kinds of things going on, so check it out. Your library has lots of things that you probably don't even know about. Come back and see us again.